get shit talk. Huddled single file. First world frat boys and prairie skinheads who will never walk a mile. Or mourn a murdered friend in this tiny woman's shoes.
You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, I am bringing you a conversation with Jeff Lareau of the band Grey Ghost in Chicago, Illinois. Jeff is a regular poster on a propaganda social media group, and he shared an orchestral cover he made of Moris, Ukun, Rasik. We first featured Moris, Ukun, Rasik on episode 30, released December 9th, 2020. That episode features a cover and a conversation with Willem from the band Intellectual. Willem is accompanied on that cover on episode 30 by Ian Leger, who performs under the moniker The Punk Cellist. So I was really delighted to hang out with Jeff on this bonus episode to discuss his love of propaganda, seeing them live, figuring out how he and I have crossed paths in our lives, and his cover as well. So we had a really nice time hanging out. So please enjoy his orchestral rendition of Moris, Ukun, Rasik, and then enjoy our chat. Thank you so much for listening. Jeff Lareau, welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
Jeff, it is a delight to have you here. And I'm wondering, our paths have crossed in real life many years ago, but we'll get into that.
Really?
Yes, I will
have
tell
we met
you.
Before? I don't remember this.
Dude, we have.
Okay.
And so here's where we met. Last annual, your band came to St. Louis a couple times and played shows with a band called Form Follows Failure.
Yeah. Jevin on drums. Yeah.
Correct. Jevin from Much the Same on drums, and Josh, who went on to play briefly in Break the Silence.
Yeah.
Matt, who went on briefly to play in Near Miss, and my friend Derek, who went on to play bass a little bit for a Wilhelm Scream on a tour where they supported Less Than Jake. So I was like best buds with those guys, and
I still have their EP. It was like maybe a 4-song or something like that.
Was it the one with the kid on fire on the front cover?
Yeah, I don't remember what the song was called, but there was a breakdown in one of those songs that I loved. I'm gonna have to go listen to it now.
Yeah, it's the Silent Shadows Walk Thin Lines EP.
Yeah.
So they had a long band name and a long album name.
Yeah. I remember we played with them at the Creepy Crawl in St. Louis, and I remember I had to ask them like 6 times what their band name was because I couldn't understand it. And then after the 6th time, I'm like, cool. I still didn't know until I bought the EP what the actual band name was.
Oh, I believe it. And it's one of those, it's like an architecture. It's a play on an architecture term, I believe. Form follows function.
Yeah.
And so they just kind of switched around the words. But they're good buddies of mine. And I was at that show when you guys played with them at the Creepy Crawl, and I remember your brother Andy had a headband on and a headset microphone. But you guys were great, and I also saw you in Chicago one time. I can't remember exactly where.
Oh man!
But I saw you guys in Chicago one time as well. So your path and we have crossed a couple of times, but just kind of in passing, just very briefly, you know.
Yeah, that's very cool. It's weird how like Last Annual was a band, so I was. Between my 17th birthday and I think 19th or 20th birthday, maybe I was in Last Annual, and it's weird how many, like even just a couple days ago, there was this dude who was quoting Last Annual lyrics to me, and I'm like, dude, I don't even remember these lyrics. Like, it's so bizarre to me. You know, it was like still in high school at the time, and it's something that still comes up. It's just weird.
Yeah, well, I just looked on Apple Music and I cannot find Last Annual on there, so I don't know if you guys have any stuff uploaded anywhere at all. But
I mean, I still have it. I mean, I could send it to you, but no one in the band is putting any effort into getting those songs up on any sort of streaming service.
Yeah, just think you could all get like a royalty check once a year for like 18 cents each for some streams, you know?
18 cents would be a lot more than I would expect, but yeah.
So funny. So our paths have crossed, dude. And
that's cool.
I like your name. So, because Jevin lived with your brother Andy for a while in Chicago before he moved back to California. So that's kind of where I was a little more in touch with Andy because of Jevin. But you popped up continuously on Facebook for me because you're a part of the Propaganda Appreciation Society on Facebook, that Facebook group. I don't post on there a whole heck of a lot, but every time I do go there, you're always posting something interesting.
I know. I'm always throwing stuff out there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it because I'm always looking for something fun to latch onto, which is how we came together today, which is fabulous. But just, you know, for the listeners out there who don't know you on that Facebook group, maybe just say hey to the listeners out there and kind of say who you are and what you do.
Sure. Hey listeners, how's it going? Live in Chicago. I have been in punk rock bands since 15 to 38, which is how old I am now. There have been 3 full days where I haven't been in a punk rock band, so it's just been part of my life since that age.
God.
And you mentioned Last Annual. I was in a Chicago band called The Hallow for a while. I played drums in a band called Counterpunch for a while. I was in a band called Contents Under Pressure. I was in a band called Bad Dudes, which lasted maybe 6 months, but that's my favorite band name of any of the bands that I've been in.
Nice.
Bad Dudes. And then I'm currently in a band called Gray Ghost, which kind of relates to what you were saying. I got this gusto after we recorded and released our last 3 songs. I don't know. I don't remember when this was. It was 6 months ago or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I've been so influenced by propaganda all these years. I'm just going to send them a Facebook message like, hey, I'm finally in this band that we're releasing music and like, we're all a bunch of old dudes. Like none of us are trying to get signed on major labels or go on tour or anything like that. Like I'm not trying to ask you for anything. This is what I do. And I would love to hear any feedback that you guys have. And I think it was Todd who wrote back. He didn't sign his name in there, but for whatever reason, it just seemed like Todd's writing to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, just it meant the world to me. Like he was so complimentary and was talking about specific lyrics that were making him laugh, and he liked the sound of it. He liked the harmonies. And it was just like, hey man, keep doing what you're doing. This sounds great. And it was like this perfect moment for me where I was like, oh my God, my hero just wrote back to me. Not only did he listen to my song, but wrote back and said that he dug it. And it was just this cool moment.
Well,
and
Todd they're so great about that too, you know?
Yeah. And it's actually not the first time that they've reached back out to me, because when I was a freshman in college, I was in some sort of history class that was about like international conflicts or something like that. And I had to write a paper, and I didn't know anything about this stuff. I didn't even know how to research these kinds of things. And I remember I reached out to Propaganda. I just emailed them like, hey, you guys are knowledgeable. If you were given this subject, how would you go about researching it? And they wrote me back right away. They were like, check these books out, go to your library, go do this, check this out. You'll want to read this website. It was like, how cool is that?
God.
Yeah.
It's a real thrill. And I mean, imagine like my joy too, like a similar experience of starting a podcast, talking about their music and just being complete nerd. And then like, they're actually like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. And then,
right. Yeah.
And then participating to the extent that they have, where we have like, at this point, like a dozen hours of interviews of just us talking to them. I mean, it's really
so
surreal
cool.
If you think about like 1998 version of myself and then
Right.
this version of myself, where it's like I've gathered these collection of conversations that will mean the world to me for the rest of my life. It's just so amazing.
It's
and
so cool.
They're such a special band in that regard. And I know that everybody out there feels the same way, which is why we all kind of pay so much attention to what it is that they do.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people on that Facebook group have similar stories, because I posted that story on there, and people are like, oh, that's cool. Let's hear the music. And I posted that on there and got some good feedback. But other people were also posting in that chain how they had similar stories of them. It's just like, it's a band that is so accessible, and so cool to their fans,
I love it. Jeff, how did you get into Propaganda? Do you remember your sort of origin story at all?
Oh yeah. So you mentioned Andy. So I was 16. Andy's 7 years older than me, so he's 23 or something like that. We were both huge punk rock kids. My favorite band at the time was Strung Out. They were the greatest band ever to me, and I've always loved super gnarly, like intricate guitar riffage.
I'm a huge Strung Out fan too.
Yeah,
huge.
Yeah. So their guitar parts were a big influence on me, and their drummer Jordan Burns was like this massive influence on how I approach drumming. So big into them. And my brother walks into my room. He's like, dude, this band's coming to town that you'd like a lot, and they never fucking tour. So I bought you tickets, and you're coming with. And so of course I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I'll go see this. So I went to see Propaganda live, having never heard a single song of theirs before.
Oh my God.
Right. And the first thing I ever heard by Propaganda was them live playing Fuck the Border.
Sorry, I'm too weak to work this place.
How the fuck's it going, fuck?
We had this great intro plan, but our sound guy, Mark the Butcher, fucking fucked it right up. Thanks, Mark. Hey.
Good work, Richard.
Thanks to Jay from the ADL. Believe it was Jay for his words and for coming out. Stop by their table on your way out the door after you're thrashed to death.
Yes. Yes? Ready, Rod?
I'm ready, George. Ready, Chris? This set's dedicated to Micah, who I just saw in the crowd down there somewhere. He put on the first show I ever played in the U.S. A long time ago. Minot, North Dakota.
Way to get them riled up, broad.
Freedom on top of your life. Better run for the USA. Not a money, not no job. Give that mental day alive. You got a problem with her living here. What do you help her? Before you fucking came. What country do? What country do? What people do? What country do? What people do? Send on the country. Fight people all from no fences, no borders. People for all. Fuck the border. Fuck the border. Fuck the border. Fuck the border! Oh, fucking time! The straight with respect! It's a culture! Subject! Makes a life of you! Fucking country! Angry eyes! It's in a horde!
And I just remember, like, I looked over at my friend Eric, who had come with. We were both like, oh shit, this is another universe. Like, this is amazing. And for this chat, I almost chose Fuck the Border for that reason, because it was such a big moment for me. But from then on, I was like immediately hooked. Like, I bought Today's Empires at that show. I got home and I remember going down in the basement and I played the game Banjo-Kazooie and just put on Today's Empires. And right from the get-go, the first track was like this boom. I was hooked. And I remember I paused the game like 5 seconds into it because the riff from Monte Moris, it was like, I got to get my guitar. What is he playing here?
Yeah.
And I probably spent the next 2 hours just like listening to the song over and over, but also that intro. I was like, I need to figure out what he's doing. And I didn't come anywhere close to figuring out what he was actually playing, but it was just this weird thing that was unlike any sound I had heard from a punk rock or metal band, because it's like, they aren't just power chords. They're not just major or minor chords. They're these weird, intricate chords that I had never come across in that kind of music. So that's how I was introduced to Propaganda.
Dude, amazing. So I think I actually found the show you went to. Did you go to,
Congress.
Congress Theater, March 3rd, 2003.
Yeah, it's up on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking at the videos right now. It was either January 3rd or March 3rd. I can't tell if the dating is like the European or the American month first or day first.
I think it's March, because I think the album came out in February. I might be totally wrong on this, but I think the album came out in February and they went on tour right away. And we were like, Chicago was pretty early on that tour, I think.
Dude, I think that's one of the only shows that I was able to find where they played Ladies Night in Loserville live.
Yeah.
Like that episode, I think that's the one that I ripped off YouTube to include in the Ladies Night episode.
Yeah. That I've gone back and watched that a handful of times, because it's like the video and all audio quality aren't 100%.
Right. They're not synced up properly.
Yeah. It's so cool for me to relive that moment and be like, dude, you could probably see me in the crowd as this little 16-year-old, like, holy shit, this is going to change my life. And it totally did.
You have no idea how happy it makes me that you were at that show, because I've watched those videos so many times. I was like, this is like, so it's like the Kowalski trio era, which which is what I call it. It's pre-Beeve, pre-Sulin. So it's just the three dudes, man. And I'm just like, yeah, this is so amazing.
Right. And they played like Purina Hall of Fame, like all these songs that I didn't know at the time. But of course I've gone back and like, oh, I saw that live,
Yeah. Have you seen them more times than just that one show?
So I was trying to think about this. I think I've seen them 6 times. I saw them up in either Milwaukee or Madison. I don't remember, but that was on the Potemkin tour. And then supporting cast. I was in grad school. I was in London at the time, and I saw them for that. Or no. I'm getting them all confused. I saw them in Chicago for supporting cast.
Nice.
In grad school for Failed States, which was a funny one because I couldn't find anybody to go to the show with me. I was like, anybody like Propaganda? And there was just, silence.
Yeah.
So I was there all by myself, which is like a weird way to go to a punk rock show. But
Dude,
that
I've
was a
done that
cool
so
one.
many times though.
Yeah. I guess once you get used to it, it's probably not as bad, but
Yeah.
I felt super awkward. But that was in Camden too, which was cool because Camden is kind of this area of London where like it was like the birthplace of punk rock. So that was
Yeah.
a cool thing to do. And then Victory Lap Asylum in Metro in Chicago, but there's definitely one that I'm missing because I saw them and Bad Cop opened for them and they were awesome. And that wasn't any of those shows. So it has to be at least 6 times.
Man, I think
I've
that
seen them.
Bad Cop tour was 2017 because when I had Lynn from Bad Cop on the podcast ages ago, let's see, Bad Cop 2017. Yeah, so it looks like it was, you probably saw them with Iron Chic, maybe.
Yeah.
Heart Sounds, Reviver, Bad
Reviver.
Cop.
That's it. Yeah.
Summer
Totally.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Amazing.
Yeah, so cool. Bad Cop. Their most recent album, so
good.
You haven't listened to it. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I had Lynn. So Lynn was on the podcast for the I believe it was the Call Before You Dig episode. Man, I'm going back in my memory here, but Lynn from Bad Cop is on the podcast too, which is awesome.
So cool. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you've recently sent me this incredible file. You've mentioned Matakal, Moris, Ukun, Rasik a little bit. This is a song that sort of has stuck with you throughout your life. It sounds like like this is kind of like one of like the ones. Am I making sense here?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there were so many songs by them that hit me in certain ways that it was really hard to choose just one of them. But this one ended up being the one. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying there.
No, that's fine. I mean, so we're doing people will have heard your the cover that you did. I put that at the start of the episode here, so everybody's already heard the thing that you have made. But tell me a little bit more about the record, like Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. Like, take me on like a little journey here of your thinking about what this record means to you in general.
Sure. Yeah. Oh man, that's a lot to unpack. So I'm gonna have to talk about Today's Empires and Less Talk for a bit.
Sure.
If that's okay. That both
that's
of
fine.
them kind of equally they both kind of riff off each other in my past, I guess. So for the longest time, whenever anyone asked me my favorite album, I've always told them Today's Empires by Propaganda. It's just like my standard go-to favorite album. Like I mentioned, I saw them on their tour for that album, having no idea who they were. So buying that album and listening to it over and over and over, it just hit me at the right age. When I was perfectly primed to get sucked in by this kind of punk thrash sound that kind of unique punk thrash sound that they have going for them. But then also, my how do I word it? Like my brain hadn't been cracked open enough to absorb a lot of the world around me at the time, as a 16-year-old kid. And Today's Empires, I would say, is a big part of the first step that I took toward kind of shedding that mindset of like a sheltered, white, straight, kind of suburban American dude raised in a conservative, super Catholic environment. Right. It was one of the first things where I was like, I've known all this stuff since I was a kid, and maybe the stuff that I know is kind of wrong. And it's like, I don't know, it's embarrassing to admit now, but like I didn't absorb the messages of Today's Empires right away because I was like,
how can you?
I was that, coming from Loving Strung Out, I was like, damn, dude, check out this solo in Purina Hall of Fame. Like, the meaning of the song didn't really impact me. It was all like the gnarly riffs and the cool drum parts and the bass and just their voices sound cool. I wasn't interested or knowledgeable about politics or anything at the time, and I didn't really read the lyrics from Today's Empires. When I got it, I just tried to play all the songs on guitar because they were so cool. But then, so a few months later, so I was 16 when I first saw him, got the album, was totally obsessed, told all my friends about it. For my birthday that year, a friend bought me Less Talk, and so this would have been 2001 or something like that, 17th birthday. And the messages of that album like weirdly hit me, particularly the song Less Talk, but the whole album, I guess, really. And part of it, I was trying to think about this yesterday and why why it hit me. And I think part of it is just the actual mix of less talk, because the vocals are so much more prominent, at least to my ears. They sound a lot more prominent than they do on today's Empires, but also the songs are like, I would say on average, like slower.
Yeah.
So the lyrics were like much easier to pick out for me at the time.
Yeah.
But whatever the reason was, I remember listening to the song Less Talk, and something about it made me stop and kind of be like, wait a minute, what is he trying to get across here? Like, what the hell do these lyrics mean? I need to know more. I need to absorb the lyrics of this song. So of course the lyrics are in the CD booklet, so I read along with the lyrics, and it was like mind-blowing to me. Like, first of all, they're all written in this kind of free paragraph style format. You know what I mean? Which is so brilliant. It takes you off guard immediately, because it's just like, it's not a super common way to write lyrics, but reading along with Less Talk, it did something that music had never done for me before, which is like, it challenged me.
Yeah.
I remember thinking this like so clearly, like, shit, I love the sound of this band. I've loved the sound of this band for a while, but they're challenging me about these problematic viewpoints that I've never even thought to evaluate up until this point, right? It was the first band that I ever listened to that was like, it confronted me head on and was like, I felt like the song Less Talk was saying to me, like, no, don't just mindlessly listen and sing along with my lyrics. I have a specific thing that I'm telling you, and the song is like, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the fucking white straight male fucking suburban problematic little dipshit teenager who doesn't realize he's part of the problem yet. And I just remember hearing that, and as a little dipshit teenager, it's like it totally changed my life.
Yeah.
So this is another one where it's like, for this chat, I almost chose Less Talk for that reason.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so I had this realization. I was like, man, okay, I've only been enjoying 50% of what this band has to offer so far. I'm a nerd about guitar and drums, and I like the melody lines and whatnot, but I haven't been absorbing a massive part of this band. So now I need to go back and dive into today's Empires, because that's the album that I just became completely obsessed with, right? I have to go back into that album and read along with everything, and that had an even bigger impact on me. And as you can imagine, particularly this song that we're about to talk about was,
oh my gosh,
like, how can it not? I mean, like, you read the lyrics along with it,
Oh my gosh, dude, whenever we were interviewing, so this is one of the episodes, Mataka, the original one, where Keith and I were procrastinating this episode for months, essentially, because we were afraid of it, because there was such a deep and intense backstory.
Right.
For stuff regarding, the life of Bela Gallos and the regime of Suharto, and the all the stuff that's referenced in the song regarding the sterilization of people, and it's just so much that we really had no idea what to do with something this intense. And then Keith and I were both like, we are not smart enough to handle this content. And
I hope I'm smart enough. Now I'm getting nervous.
Oh man, it was just really, really overwhelming. Like, there's a few episodes that we've done that really were terrifying to us. Mateka being one of them, another one being Oka Everywhere. There are just some episodes that we were just completely terrified to even approach. But let's talk. Yeah.
At first, I thought you were going to say you were terrified of it because you'd have to pronounce it. And like, that's been something where I'm like, I'm going to have to pronounce the name of this song, and I hope I don't mess it up on this podcast. It'd be so embarrassing.
Man, you know what I did is, like, there are videos of Chris kind of introducing the song on YouTube and on their Live from Occupied Territories.
This is called Mate Moris, Ukun, Rasik. To get shit talk, I don't single file. First one, fat boys and prairie skinheads who will never walk
DVD that they made years ago where he goes, this song is called I messed it up, Mateka Marisakun Rasikan. And so I just kind of like listened to him say it several times, and then I practiced it, and then eventually it just kind of starts to roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
But it's that's how I learned. I mean, I just watched and listened to Chris saying it over and over.
Yeah. I
Wouldn't
got
it
like
be
the
funny if
first
he's
half.
saying it wrong?
That'd be hilarious.
That would be amazing. Okay, so you did a cover of this song, Mateka Marisakun Rasikan, but it's sort of like, it's a really interesting thing that you've done. You've almost turned it into sort of an orchestral arrangement adaptation. And I would love to know a little bit about the idea of how this got into your head, because this seems like an incredible amount of work that you probably had to put some hours into.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering like why you got this idea, and then, why you saw it through to the end. And I don't know if you have like a story here, but I think it's kind of like, maybe it turned into a little passion project or something for you. Tell me a little bit about the origin of your creation here.
Sure. Let me give you, I guess, a little bit of I got to give you some prequel story information here before we get into so I've been a film score nerd for forever. I mean, it's like the first type of music that I fell in love with was like I was that kid at 4 years old who would rewind the Beetlejuice opening credits, and I would just 2 hours just listen to that over and over and over. So like John Williams, Danny Elfman, particularly those like 80s and 90s scores.
This makes a lot more sense to me now. I'm loving this.
Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith, who's probably my favorite, but I mean, I could list a million of them. So, and in those younger years when I was mowing lawns to get money, all my money went to basically buying CDs. So
yeah,
and my collection was basically it was like Weird Al and then 100 movie scores. You know what I mean? Like it was like everything that I was listening to up until like middle school.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then later it's like I got into obviously punk rock. That was probably in between 8th and 9th grade. I stole Andy's Good Riddance comprehensive guide album. Sorry Andy, if you're listening to and that was kind of like, and then 88 Fingers Louie, and I started getting into punk rock that way. But the orchestra has always been very much a part of my DNA, I guess, my musical DNA. Even in the band I'm in now, Grey Ghost, it's like that's a punk rock band, but I throw in orchestra bits into a few songs just because I love the sound of it. I think it's a unique way. You don't really hear a whole lot of orchestra samples in punk rock music, so throwing it in there I think is kind of fun to do now and again. So in college, I took a few music theory classes, and I absolutely loved those classes. It's like the only time in my life where I ever got straight A's in anything. And I had gotten some orchestral samples from a company called Vienna Symphonic Library.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, taking music theory classes is different from taking like a composition or an orchestration class. So like I had these samples, but I didn't know how to use them, right?
Sure.
And so my way of trying to figure it out was, all right, let me do a couple of really easy cover songs to kind of test things out and see what I can do if I'm even capable of making these sounds that are in my head. And I didn't want to do stuff that was already orchestral because that just seemed boring to me. Like the fun of it was turning something that wasn't orchestral into an orchestral piece. So like the first thing I did was like a Guile's theme from Street Fighter, and I did like the 90s X-Men cartoon theme and like stuff like that, where it was pretty straightforward, easy to do. There were fun little projects, but there really wasn't much creativity in there. It was just kind of like, well, these lend themselves to this. It's pretty easy to do. So it was like, all right, what else can I do? I don't want to jump into writing original songs yet because I'm not there yet. I don't know enough. And I remember driving to college. I went to community college, and I was driving in my car, and Mateka Moris comes on as it so often does, and it just kind of hit me because Chris Hanna is telling this amazing, heart-wrenching true story, and all the lyricism is couched within this kind of intricate, incredible thrash punk track, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it hits me that what if this song, what if this song and the subject of its lyrics, what if it were turned into a movie? What would that score sound like? And that was like the impetus thought of doing this. And it was one of those things where it's like, once I got that idea in my head, then it was like, oh, this is super exciting. This is all I want to think about now, is how I can actually do this, if I could actually do this. So it's like part of the decision is practical. I was trying to test myself and see what I could do, but the other part of it was I just thought it would sound fucking awesome. Like I wanted to hear it. You know what I mean? What would that sound like? I want to hear what that would sound like. And I don't know anybody else who would do something weird like that. So I guess I have to try.
So what are we hearing? Like, if you could, like, say you were picturing an orchestra on a stage in a concert hall, and they were playing this, like, what kind of what instruments do you remember, like, programming in? Like, what are we hearing on this thing?
Yeah. It's funny because it's like, practically we're hearing me sitting at a computer just doink around and try and figure out what instruments sound good where. But I remember wanting right away to start the song off really quiet, just like it does in the Propaganda track, kind of low key, and so woodwinds and strings in the beginning of it. You got some flute flutters and things like that that are kind of introducing you to this world, right? That Bella has lived, and introducing you to Chris's story the way that he's telling it, in this slow kind of way. And then it gets bombastic with the percussion and the horn section at the same point in the song where the distortion guitars come in. Right.
I love that you called it a world, by the way. That was a really interesting choice of words there.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it feels, right? I mean, his lyrics build a world. This is a true story, so it's something that it's not like a speculative fiction where he's building a story that's kind of like, what if this happened? This is a true story that he's telling, and getting into that is there's just a lot of layers to it. So it is that way,
Yeah. I have come to see the last couple of years Propaganda's music being more defined by movements across a piece rather than parts that are put together. Does that make sense? So, like,
it does.
It kind of just reminds me of like a movement and then a second movement and then a third movement, instead of like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, where some of those parts can be interchangeable and like be moved around and are identical.
Right.
And, I saw someone recently do a wonderful piano cover of Potemkin City Limits as well, which is on YouTube.
I saw that. Yeah, that's cool.
God,
yeah,
so good. And, I've heard this one many times, and now hearing yours and hearing that Potemkin version, it just reinforces my view that Propaganda's music is movements instead of parts. And so I'm wondering, like, it's bigger than punk. It's bigger than metal. And I'm wondering if you have like an interpretation after making this thing, like, that makes sense of them as being like miniature movements to make up a full piece, instead of like, the normal song structure that you and I growing up playing in our little punk bands would have thought of,
Totally. Yeah, you're 100% right. And I would say that there are two things going on there. I think, first of all, like you're saying, their music isn't just power chords. It's not just 3 or 4 chords in a slightly different order for a verse and a chorus, and like, even when they do a 3-chord verse, like I'm thinking of the verse for Today's Empires, those chords, they're not just power chords. Like, they have these weird, unexpected dissonant notes, open strings. I had been playing along with that song for like 20 years before I got the tab book, and I looked in the tab book and I was like, well, that was wrong. I wasn't playing that right at all. It's not the standard major or minor chord. So I'd say, like, that's the first basic thing. There's just more musicality going on that you can pull from to make it, whether it's a piano track or an orchestral track, there's more there for you to build off of. And that's not to say, it's like, I still love Good Riddance. I love those bands. They're basically just power chords the whole way through, or some octave chords. But like, it would be hard for me to adapt a Good Riddance song into something like piano or the orchestra, just because I feel like the weird, gnarly chords that Chris comes up with, they're just not there. So I think that's the first thing. But secondly, and this is probably more important, I think, how do I word it? So I think it's all directly tied to how their lyrics are written, which sounds weird because an orchestral version doesn't have any words in it. But the thing is, the lyrics aren't just verse, chorus, right? It's not that structure. So the music can't follow that structure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like their lyrics always inform the music, right? Rather than the other way around, which is how most songwriters work, right? Usually a songwriter will write music and try and fit the words to fit the song. But that's not how they work. It's like their song structures aren't always A, B, A, C, or whatever. They take these weird, unexpected turns, and at least I would say it's because they write their music to fit that kind of lyrical journey rather than the other way around. And that's something that just personally has really influenced me as a songwriter. It's like, don't force your lyrics to fit your song, force the song to fit your lyrics. Because once you make that switch, when you're writing music, you never again have to ask yourself, like, how am I going to fit this line into these 4 beats or whatever? Because it's like, well, don't worry about that. Make it 5 beats, make it 6 beats. If what's important to you is the message of the song, you make that song fit the message that you're trying to get across rather than the other way around.
Oh, man, that is so interestingly stated, because like I was struggling with that concept. Like whenever we were talking about songs like Die Jugend marschiert, the way the lyrics come in in a very specific way, sung over the top of the song. I think on that episode I was talking about how it felt like the lyrics were kind of like almost like shoehorned in, and now I realized that I was completely wrong.
It's so weird because it's like it seems like such a small little difference, but it's humongous. Like I bet that dude who did the Potemkin City Limits piano video understood this at least intuitively, because that track is like a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Because like if you think about it, it's like the lyrics are they're this absolutely beautifully written true story of a pig's escape from a slaughterhouse, right? And then the heartbreak is that they eventually catch the pig. It's like this harrowing story. Like it's brutal.
He dies anyway.
But, yeah, right. But if you think about it, the song, like the actual music, without any of the words in there, the music follows the flow of that story, because the music starts off with like this verse chorus type structure that has like a lot of energy. It's really fast. It's written in this major key, and the reason why it does that is because it's exciting. It's this pig who gets this wide open door that he gets to run through. All that dopamine and energy that's running through, like, oh, it's my big escape. It's written in a major key. It sounds more happy. But then as the song goes on, the pace kind of slows down a little bit. The hopeful tone of the music that was in the beginning of the song, that kind of drowns out. And by the end of it, it's like this it's not doing double time anymore. It's slowed down. The true story ends kind of the same way that the music ends. It's like, hey, the true story ends in this perverse way where the rush of escaping isn't there anymore. So the music reflects that and then follows along with it. It's fucking brilliant. Like I love that song.
Amazing. I mean, so I don't mean to like completely change the topic here. Do you have any other thoughts about like Mate Ka, or do you, because I'm also happy to hear about some of your thoughts on some of the other records. I know that you are an appreciator of the entire catalog.
Yeah.
Not just the first couple of records. Do you have any more thoughts on like your experiences or something that you learned about Mate Ka from the experience of making this cover that maybe you hadn't considered before? Because you must have listened to this song over and over and over over in order to make this cover. And I'm wondering if you have any little nuanced details that you picked up upon repeated listens that you might not have otherwise caught.
Yeah. I could talk about this song forever. I feel like I'm kind of wrestling, because I could go on another background tangent and then talk about the lyrics of the song, or I can talk about how I approach writing. We can go either way. And I mean, let's
do lyrics a little bit. I'm curious on your thoughts here, because I'm always happy to hear people's own experiences in relation to a particular song. Because whenever we break down a song here, I mean, it's just our interpretations oftentimes, which, it's a lot of people have written me like, man, I totally disagree. So I'm always open to hearing what other people think about these.
Okay, so that's like a perfect segue for what I wanted to get into, because like that's amazing to me that people will have completely different interpretations. And the reason why is like, and the reason why I love Propagandi's lyrics so much, it's like I've always liked songs that kind of I don't know what other way to say it, but like don't have a huge amount of room for interpretation. Like we talk about Mate Ka Moris, it's like it's about a specific story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no way you could be like, oh, I think that's actually about the German wall. You know, like there's no way. It's not about that. It's about this thing. You could make it a metaphor for another thing, but it's about a specific thing. And you know, I feel like there are a lot of lyricists out there who I don't know, for lack of a better word, I feel like they hide kind of laziness by making songs really vague and like completely open to interpretation. And a lot of genres that's like really celebrated, it's like, wow, this is so deep, but it's also universal. And to me, it's like, no, it's not.
Interesting.
It's like I you know, the clearest example I could give you is like any pop song where there's like a love song with a lot of general language, you know, you did this to me, I can't believe it, or whatever. It's like vague language so you, the listener, can mold into any situation. You can mold that into any situation you've ever been in. It's like, and people listen to that, it's like, oh, it's so universal. And I don't know, I typically don't like that. And sadly, I feel like in a lot of punk rock, I mean, I love punk rock, but I'll say like a lot of punk rock is often just as bad, where it's like you'll listen to a politically motivated punk rock song and it almost feels like you're listening to buzzwords. Like it's like, we will rise, we will fight, we will fight against the power or whatever. And those always frustrated me because it's like, as a listener, it's always like, well, okay, we're going to fight the power. How?
Yeah.
What are we going to fight? What power are we talking about? What specifically are you mad about? Because those elements, it's like, if the song doesn't have those elements, the song doesn't bring anything new to the table. And it's the same thing with like, you know, if you work in an office and you're in a meeting and people start talking about like synergy or holistic or whatever, it's like there's no, I don't know, I was going to say there's no meat to it. That's probably a horrible thing to say on a propaganda podcast, but like, you know, punk rock song with vague, angry lyrics that are supposedly political, it's like, that doesn't inspire me. That's not thought provoking. That's not
right.
It doesn't stay with me as like a brilliant artistic output. And like, at best, a songwriter will have an interview where they're like, oh, that song is actually about, you know, my daughter's pet hamster and how sad she was when she passed away or whatever. And to me, it's like, dude, that sounds way cooler. Like, why, I wish you wrote that into the vague lyrics, because that sounds like a better song. Like I would have responded to that emotionally. Having gone on that huge tangent, bringing it back to propaganda, one of the things that always hit me about propaganda is that they never cheap out with that. Like their songs are typically about pretty specific things, and not that they're not open to interpretation, because they are, and you can gather metaphors from what they're talking about, and you can extrapolate a lot of different things. But I mean, I remember getting into an argument with a dude 20 years ago he was saying that today's empires, because it has the F word in it, he was saying that it was a homophobic song. And I was like, dude, you're not getting this. Like, it's not a homophobic song. Like, you don't understand this band. They're not homophobic at all. So anyway, they never take the easy or the lazy route with their lyrics. A lot of them are little puzzles that you have to figure out. The lines that might throw you off with a reference that you might not be familiar with, or like a phrase you don't know anything about, or sometimes you have to think about them to kind of figure out what that meaning is. But the lyrics are always about something, and they're about something specific, and I just love that. You know, like we were talking about Potemkin City Limits. I had no idea what a Potemkin village was when that album came out, so I had to kind of do my homework a little bit and figure it out. And you know, Chris calls this out in what's the name of the song? I'm blanking on it. Music is power to describe, compel, renew. Rock for Sustainable Capitalism. It's like, I didn't know that was a thing until propaganda. You know what I mean? So anyway, having said all that, I'm going to finally start talking about Mate Ka Moris. Promise. What it's specifically about is, you know, you mentioned before, it's the Indonesian genocide of the people of East Timor, and a woman named Bella Gallos, who is a total badass.
Yeah.
Like, where's her movie? You know what I mean? You hear about her life during this decades long genocide of her people, just heartache after heartache. And then she effectively became like a double agent as a teenager, and apparently did so well that she was picked to go to Canada as, like, I don't remember, it was like a like a foreign exchange program or something like that.
Yeah.
And she ends up getting refugee status and started campaigning for human rights. It's like, what an inspiring person. Like, if you don't get emotional reading those lyrics, or just even reading her Wikipedia page, or just reading about her, it's like you are a robot, because it's so crushing. But also hearing about it, it's so humbling, it's so inspiring. It's like, I don't know. I don't write screenplays, but I could write that movie. You know what I mean? It's like, it's such a good example of all of just human, just inspiring in all these different ways. And then on top of that, you have Chris Hanna, who he almost adds this lyrical intro to the song about how, during this woman's horrible childhood, he was living this carefree life, riding his bike, making out with a girl in a Speedo and all this different stuff. Meanwhile, Bello, who's probably, I'm going to guess, around the same age as Chris Hanna, she's in East Timor, living through just the purest form of hell,
Yeah.
And it's this great lyrical moment of
Contrast.
Yeah. You contrast humility too. Is a contrast in humility, because he's basically revealing his own previous ignorance. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like another version of him saying, what's the line from Less Talk, where he says, "I'll call you on your shit, please call me on mine." It's like that humility of, I had this in my background, and he's able to show his faults as a teenager, or however old he was at the time. And it's funny, because it's like, when I first heard that song, I was 17, right? Barely 17. And it made me go, I guess I was 16 when I first heard the song, but 17 when I started to absorb it. But like, it made me go, so wait, like right now, I'm that carefree kid in this song who hasn't been paying attention, right? I'm that kid who doesn't know what's going on in the world. And that is the main reason why I picked this song over the other ones, is because it was that moment of clarity, and like being like, man, Chris Hanna is talking about himself as a kid being carefree and not recognizing all this other stuff that's going on in the world. And that's me right now. Like, I'm the next version of that, where I didn't pay attention to any of that. And now I have to.
Yeah. And he's also saying, like, this is my learning journey.
Right.
And if you continue to try, your learning journey can be, rewarding and fulfilling in your own way as well. And I love the fact that he constantly turns the camera in on himself.
Yes.
In order to, put himself within situations where he kind of realizes these like light bulb moments within his own life.
Yeah.
And it's just such an amazing thing that he's able to do that in this song, but then also teach me about, Suharto, the Indonesian army officer and second, and like the longest serving president of Indonesia, and the Santa Cruz massacre of East Timorese pro-independence demonstrators in like the Santa Cruz cemetery. And it's just like the fact that he contrasts his upbringing with what somebody like Bela Gallos went through, while also throwing in these extremely deep and important historical events, all within the course of like basically a paragraph's worth of words.
Right.
It's pretty stunning. I mean, it never gets boring for me to talk about on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible. And I had that, you said that he's had these light bulb moments, and he gave me a light bulb in that song. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's so incredible that he was able to do that in one paragraph. And I felt for a while, after reading all the lyrics of Today's Empires and reading through Less Talk, it was like, I felt like I was Rowdy Piper from They Live. You know what I mean? Just like walking around at things and being like, oh shit, none of this is what I thought it was. And like, I was just one of these people walking around completely happy in my own little world. Happy to not think about big issues because they didn't affect me. And I just those lyrics are really the spark of that light bulb that made it happen for me.
What were some of the things that you noticed about the reissue of Today's Empires that really jumped out at you?
Yeah, well, the first thing that jumped out to me was there was a lot of EQing done on the separate instruments so that you could pick out everything a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned this before with Less Talk, where the vocals are much easier to grab as a listener, as a first time listener to that album particularly, whereas they weren't really easy for me to grab the first time I listened to Today's Empires. But that new mix of Today's Empires really makes the vocals pop. You can hear kind of every different instrument very clearly in that mix. And objectively, I think it's a much better mix than the original release. But what's funny is that it's like I've listened to that original release for 20 years, and that was the one that was like a huge impact on me. So if I ever go back and listen to it, I always listen to the original one, even though I know that like objectively the newer reissue of it sounds much better. But it's like I don't know if it's just comfort food or whatever. It's like that this is the version that I'm used to, and I always just want to hear this version of it.
How did you make sense of the clips being taken out, like Ego Sum Papa, Purina, Mateka? Like they cut out a lot of stuff in there, and I'm wondering how that sat with you as a listener, because I've said it here before that I really like that both versions exist, because one of them you just get through the record like kind of a lot faster. But what are your thoughts on the removal of the clips?
I feel the same way. So it's almost like if there's a special edition of a movie where they change something, I want the original version still available. And if they made it so that I couldn't listen to those clips anymore, I would be pissed off. But since I could still listen to either version, it works for me. But I'll tell you, back in the day, back in like, I was still in high school at the time, so 2001 or whatever, I had a program called Cakewalk, and I put Today's Empires into this program, which is similar to like Logic or whatever now, only much more rudimentary. And I cut out the clips so that I could listen to the songs a lot faster.
No way.
At the time. But if I were ever, how do I explain it? So if I were just listening to one track at a time, I would listen to the tracks without the clips. But if I were listening to the album, because sometimes I just like to listen to a full album and get that full experience, I'll listen to it with the clips. But I think I love those clips in those songs, but I totally get, like you were saying, I totally get the instinct of like, okay, we can get through these a lot faster without them in there.
Jeff, I'm really excited that you did this cover, because their music lends so well to it, and I'm wondering if you would consider doing more in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to. I always have this mentality where it's like, if one human being out there likes something that I've done creatively, that means the world to me. Like that's enough. And so to hear your positive response, because I mean, I did this like 6 years ago or something like that, and I threw it up on YouTube, and I think I have maybe 2 comments on there, and they're both very positive, and that's great.
Yeah.
But it's like talking to you about it and hearing your response, it's kind of making me like, maybe I should do more of that. Maybe I should think about a good song to do that would lend itself to the orchestra, and take another stab at it and see.
I think that you should. And it's just something to especially you're in the dead of winter over there as well in Chicago, and over here in Buffalo, I mean, our winters it is what it is over here. But I love these kinds of little creative projects that can get us through some times. If you happen to find yourself with a little bit of free time in the wintertime, and you're like, hey, maybe I should do another orchestral cover, definitely do it, and then we can talk about it more.
I think I will.
These are always super fun, and you are welcome here anytime. But
cool, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate the podcast. This is awesome.
I love it. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you if they want to check out your tunes or get in touch?
Sure. Yeah. I guess get in touch. I'm on Facebook. You can find me on the Propaganda Appreciation group on Facebook. Gray Ghost is the name of the band that I'm in. So GRAY Ghost. And we had to put a "the" in front of it for all the streaming services, because there is another artist out there called Gray Ghost. So officially it's called The Gray Ghost, but we just call ourselves Gray Ghost. Check that out. We released a lot of music. We've been releasing 3 or 4 songs every couple of months over the last few years. It's a lot, as you can imagine, it's a lot of left-wing ideas, unsurprisingly. Typically we try and make it kind of funny, kind of humorous. So like, Like there's a song that's about being an atheist, but all the lyrics are Kurt Russell puns, so it's called Kurt Russell's Teapot. It's like things like that. We try and make people laugh while we're, saying our left wing ideas in there. Yeah, if you like it, check out our Facebook. We have a Bandcamp page. We have all that stuff. You can send me a message. I'll friend you on Facebook if you want to talk or chat or whatever.
Jeff Lareau, thank you so much for
coming
on Unscripted Moments, podcast for Propaganda. Been a real pleasure.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks so much.